part of my reading at the moment is Annie Duke's book called Quit, which is the counter to the idea of grit. Where grit has got a lot of airtime. And, listening to you, Stravos, we're resilient too. I mean, I'll tell you privately in this public forum, I'm tired of being resilient. And I'm privileged resilient. So, Fundi, my point or my observation to you is there's some really interesting work that's been done on the common ingredients of Arab Spring, i.e. social revolution. And the three common ingredients of Arab Spring is the countries are unequal, they were unemployed, and they were young. Unequal, South Africa ranks the most unequal country in the world. Unemployed, depending on our measures, narrow definitions, broad definitions, and in particular, youth unemployment sits at 65%. And young, half of the population is younger than 25 years old. So we have a fantastic cocktail, if those are the necessary ingredients. You sit, of our panel, you sit right, at the heart of this thing called the economy. I'm saying 2, you're saying?
10 years ago, that was the turning point in the economy for us, where we broke that barrier. And that is very important in sort of thinking about opportunity and what has been coming up in this conversation around whether we are resilient to and what is missing. And the trade-offs that one has to make in terms of decision-making and governance. And the reality of our country is that in terms of what we have to do, we know. We have a national development plan, and it tells us too many unemployed people. It talks about inequality, and it talks about what we have to do to translate our growth into a higher measure. And where we are stuck is not making the difficult trade-offs and the decision as an economy. And I think this is quite critical for us. So as a Reserve Bank, every time you read an MPC statement, you'll see we talk about the structural reforms because they are important. How we convert what we have in order to have the productive capacity of the economy. So right now, as a Reserve Bank, we are rating our potential growth at 0. We have the labor, yes, but we don't have the electricity to produce. That's an impediment. Work is happening right now when we have the partnership that is happening with business. But there are some critical decisions that we have to make around education. We know what those critical decisions are around education. And that is what will yield for us the youth dividend, Adrian, in terms of looking at the ingredients of the Arab Spring. So this is, for me, the most fundamental decision that as public policy makers we have to be investing in. If we're not making the right investment around the education of our youth, math scores, literacy scores, these are the things. And we know what they are. And I think this is the frustration for business and for most of us, is that the problems are known. We have to be at problem-solving mode at this point. So that is issue number one. Second, where the structural reforms are important is we have the youth that we have right now, but they need to get hope around where are we going to find the jobs. Which is where the collaboration between business and government to unlock whatever the bottlenecks are. So electricity is one. On the Transnet freight side, there is another issue. But we also have got a big structural issue in that agriculture, which is a large employer in most countries, is not a large employer here. So there are catalysts and decision points that we should be making on how we would get the youth into jobs. Which I think are trade-offs that we are not making at this point in time.